Hello everyone and welcome to new member orientation. My name is Rachel Lovell and I am an occupational health specialist at Vision Woodworking. I have a master's of public health and environmental health sciences and I've been working for this company for 10 years. You've already been given a quick history of this program as well as a tour of the facilities, so now I'm going to talk about how noise can influence your health. In addition, I will be promoting noise safety and hearing loss prevention. Here at Vision Woodworking, we want to provide employees with the latest machinery and tools while limiting their exposure to hazardous noises. Let's get started. So here is a quick overview of today's presentation. I'll start by discussing common sources of noise in woodworking and then briefly highlight how these sounds can be measured or monitored. I'll also go over the pros and cons, types, and overall importance of hearing protection. Other mitigation techniques regarding the machinery controls and pathways will be provided as well. Now, while most of you could probably summarize what noise is in your own words, this concept can sometimes make us take our hearing for granted. As a friendly reminder, noise usually refers to loud, disturbing, or undesirable sound. Noise is considered a primary health hazard in the woodworking industry. The sound pressure level is referred to as intensity, and the pitch is a result of the sound wave frequency. Both of these factors contribute to the production of noise. In addition, the length of time is another property that can determine the rate of hearing loss, which I will discuss a little more in depth later in this presentation. As I previously mentioned, people might become accustomed to hearing certain noises because they are constantly being exposed to all types of sound. Therefore, they might develop ways to ignore the noise. Common sources of machinery or tools you may be dealing with include various types of saws, sanders, staple guns, or drills. Figure A on the right is an image of a table saw, and the noise produced by this machine can damage a person's hearing if it is being used for several hours throughout the week, or when it is being used without protective hearing equipment. Exposure to noises over time can lead to negative effects on a person's health or lifestyle. The main problem is hearing loss because it can be permanent and irreversible. Furthermore, the hair cells in our inner ears serve as sensory neural receptors and can lower a person's sensitivity when they are destroyed. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, Occupational Safety, and Health Administration, communication can also become impaired and cause a person to take more time in registering conversations or questions. This can lead to mental or physical stress as well as frustration. Work productivity could be prohibited because a person may need to ask for the instructions to be repeated, or they might misinterpret what others are saying to him or her. So how is noise measured and monitored? Noise can be measured using the decibel system. According to the American Research Hearing Foundation, based on a tenfold difference, logarithms are used to analyze loudness or intensity of sound. Figure B is comprised of tools and machinery that are frequently used in the woodworking industry, and all of them produce sounds over 85 decibels. Noise levels of 85 decibels or more are typically known to be harmful to hearing. For instance, the various types of saws represented by letters A, C, F, H, J, and N range from about 90 to 110 decibels. However, the difference between 90 to 100 is at least 10 times greater, whereas from 90 to 110, the difference is 100 times greater in sound pressure. Another helpful tool includes a dosimeter, which is a device that could be worn throughout the day to measure a person's exposure to noise. The data collected from an individual's work routine can be used to identify his or her risks associated with noise. Further details on how to use and operate these devices will be provided in another session. In this next section of the presentation, I am going to emphasize safety interventions. The following topics will include information regarding hearing protection devices, as well as equipment and pathway controls. According to the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, about 17% of all workers are exposed to hazardous noise, and 34% out of 22 million reported not wearing hearing protection. Now, while this statistic may not seem significant, thousands of workers are impacted by hearing loss every year, and there are several barriers that can prevent them from choosing to use hearing protection. Addressing the pros and cons can help us understand why several people may be choosing to not use hearing protection. For example, a negative aspect may include being required to wear other types of protection, such as goggles, hard hats, face shields, or respirators. If workers are consistently having to readjust or remove their equipment while performing various tasks, it can become a hassle. People may also complain that these devices are simply just not comfortable. Furthermore, workers may not want to be bothered with taking in a few extra seconds to ensure they are applying correct technique, or they may be unaware due to a lack of training. Despite these issues, hearing protection devices can usually be accessed for a cheap price. They can also reduce a worker's exposure to hazardous levels of noise and help prevent or reduce hearing loss. One common misconception is that workers cannot hear others when they are wearing these devices, but they should not inhibit communication among coworkers. Additionally, hearing protection devices can be effective if worn correctly. The American Hearing Research Foundation goes on to explain that hearing protectors reduce hearing and therefore do reduce one's ability to understand normal conversation. However, a person with average hearing who wears earplugs, earmuffs, or a combination of both should be able to understand a regular conversation. One should also note that someone who already has diminished hearing might not be able to fully comprehend what coworkers are saying. As a result, there are several types of hearing protection, including earplugs, earmuffs, or noise-canceling headphones. I will not necessarily cover the specific brands or kinds, but earplugs can be used along with earmuffs or headphones. Using more than one type will not necessarily increase an individual's protection or block out more noises. If anything, it could potentially assist in being effective if one set is being improperly worn. Hearing conservation strategies have been conducted over the years. One example is based on a partnership formed in 2007 between the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health and the National Hearing Conservation Association. To summarize, an award program was established to promote noise prevention in the workplace. This program was used to recognize companies that were actively trying to reduce occupational noise hazards through several implementations, including assessments, control measures and devices, and personnel training. Incentives were also an influential factor, and those that participated in the program managed to identify less occurrences of hearing problems. These interventions effectively demonstrated how noise can be limited. Here on this slide, Figure C shows visual examples of different kinds of hearing protection devices, including earplugs, earmuffs, or headphones.
BNSF provides a variety of hearing protection options that include disposable foam plugs, reusable earplugs, banded hearing plugs, and earmuffs. Your hearing protection should be comfortable and effective. Foam plugs are the most common choice of ear protection and, when inserted correctly, provide a very effective barrier against noise. To insert foam plugs correctly, make sure your hands are clean, then roll and compress the plug into a narrow cylinder shape. Hold the plug in one hand, and with the other, reach over your head and pull back the ear to straighten the ear canal. Insert the plug well into the ear and hold it there a few seconds so that it expands to fit. If the plug has been inserted properly, it should barely be visible when looking directly at the person. Remember, if not inserted correctly, it will not protect your ears and hearing from loud noises.
So I hope you all enjoyed that short little video. I thought it would just be a nice little added feature that you could see so that you could get a visual and mental picture of how earplugs can be properly inserted. On this slide, we are seeing how hearing loss can be harmful to a person's health. Figure D on the left is comparing a 25-year-old carpenter to a 50-year-old individual who may not work in this specific industry. As you can see, this graph indicates how the young carpenter is at risk for developing hearing problems early on. Engineering controls or mitigation techniques can also help decrease hearing-related problems. This can include monitoring the machinery or equipment by checking for any damages, installing soundproof materials such as acoustic panels or curtains, which can offer reductions up to 5 to 20 decibels, as well as creating space or distance between stations of operation. Implementing these changes could help protect an individual's hearing and surroundings. Assessing the machinery parts, such as the blades, belts, gears, or contact points, can also limit unnecessary sounds from occurring. Pathway interventions can reflect administrative guidelines or protocols. These control methods could assist in reducing, blocking, or isolating all kinds of noise. Employees should take breaks every hour and may find that alternating between tasks can decrease their length of exposure to high levels of noise. There are also specific areas throughout the building that have several operations going on at once, and leadership personnel is usually good about requiring workers to wear hearing protection. Here at Vision Woodworking, we will be sure to communicate the standards and regulations up front, but we are always open to suggestions or comments from our employees because your health is a top priority. As I begin to wrap up today's presentation, hopefully you are able to learn about the common sources of noise in the workplace, measuring and monitoring methods, and how to practice safety interventions to maintain your hearing and overall health. On these next two slides, I have listed the sources that were used to create this presentation. Feel free to use them to access more information. This concludes our time for this session of new member orientation. We have about 5 minutes for questions before another keynote speaker will be here. If you would like to reach me, my email is rachel.lovell@visionww.com, and my office is located on the 3rd floor, room 309. Thank you again for your time, and I look forward to getting to know each of you throughout the next few months. Again, welcome to the Vision Woodworking family.